What's up, YouTube? We're over here at twitch.tv/Lawler hanging out with chat as always, talking about a couple different things. For those that don't know, obviously the spring split is going to be approaching soon, and I am honestly not looking forward to it. We'll get into that at the end of the video, but there's been some conversations going around the RLCS. Viewership is down. There's a lot of things going on about the focus on the formats and viewer fatigue and everything else. And there's two main characters in our story today. One of them, Alphakep, former player and professional player for, I'm pretty sure, Kansas City Pioneers, or was it Pittsburgh Knights? I don't know. The logos are the same color scheme. Doesn't matter. But Alphakep put out a tweet. Sunless got a response. He also had some other things to say. So we're going to start with that. We're going to start there. We're going to talk about the conversation, what it was, what it's about, people kind of giving their takes on it. I'm then going to go in and tell them why they're wrong. And then we're going to get into more specifics and kind of details about long-term stuff. So it's going to be an interesting one. There's kind of like 3 steps to this one. I'm looking forward to seeing how this one goes. Again, if you guys have your own takes, your own opinions, let me know in the comments down below. But with that said, let's jump into the other page and show you kind of the origin of all this. So the original message came from Alphakep and said, hey, Rocket League's low-key becoming a sleeper to watch. Hate saying that. Hope others don't think it this way. Hopefully this LAN sparks it up, which will happen. Live event Rocket League is the bread and butter of RL esports. When we have live events, it's absolutely fantastic. It's super entertaining. It also, for players, is a big motivation factor once they get to compete in international stage to be like, okay, I'm gonna go grind again. Like, it is for everybody, myself included. As a broadcast talent and stuff, I get a sheer amount of motivation and a sheer amount of like content creator high of being like, oh, I have so many ideas, so many cool things to do, and you get like remotivated to just kind of get back on the grind. So LAN does a lot of things. It is going to help a lot. Hopefully viewership and stuff reflects that. Hopefully live crowd and stuff reflects that. Should be exciting. Sunless replied to and said, hey, pros complained so much when there were fewer tournaments and series and matches in those tournaments because it allowed more flukes and worse teams to pop off on a day. Now they made it so fair with a billion series and it's a snooze fest, but at least the best team wins, right? Props to the esports team for listening to the feedback, but I'm sure they're realizing the flaws in listening to salty teams and will strike a balance in the future. I have faith in the esports team to adapt. He also then mentions, hey, I think a lot of viewers like myself have tournament and event fatigue. Rightfully so. It was even worse in 2021 or 2020, 2021 season due to the fact that there was no international competition at all. It was just the same regionals over and over again. He's like, I'm sure a league structure will be coming in the future, though I'm not worried. Sunless, I'm going to tell you right now that if I ever see league play again as the sole tournament structure, I'm going to lose it, and I hope it never happens. He also states, I completely understand what they were going for this season. I think it was very exciting at first. 21-22 honestly has been great so far. I'm just realizing that I'm really tired of tournament after tournament after tournament, especially the 2 times series finals. Double elimination is what he's applying to. Garrett G then replies and says, I think if you've watched every single NBA regular season game, you would feel the same fatigue. For me, NBA playoffs are so hype because of the build-up throughout the season. I think there's got to be some slow moments to make the big ones that more hype. I think it can 100% be perfected, but I think the hype that was around the old seasons was just due to the low amount of RL and not really the league play format, which I will agree with. So now that you know the history, the context of all of it, time to provide some thoughts and to look forward to the future, because I'm telling you guys right now, it is going to be worse before it gets better. Couple things. Viewer burn and viewer, I guess, just burnout in general and event fatigue, as Sunless has stated, is 1000% a thing. The difficulty right now and the format and the way that it's provided is with the thought in mind that if a team has an off day on one day, it's not the end all to be all. They want to have some like checks and balances to make sure that the best team is progressing forward, because in Rocket League, it is very tough to stay consistent and at the top, and they want to make sure at the end of the day, the best teams are the ones that are progressing forward. You don't want to have a Mickey Moon-esque type world championship, right? Imagine this team has a pop-off and it's enough on one day to carry through for the rest, and all of a sudden they're at the world championship, and then they get smacked when international competition rolls around. The difficulty is I think there is better ways personally for them to help with this fatigue. A couple things that come into mind. You've got RLCS every single weekend across a bunch of different regions, at least North America and Europe, which are the 2 major regions. And the difficulty is you're talking, you have qualifiers one week, regionals the next. Qualifiers, regionals, qualifier, regionals. And there is always Rocket League going on at any given time. And that's not even including the minor regions. There is a ton of Rocket League to be watched right now. Plus you mix in CRL and everything else. If you want to watch Rocket League, it's there. It's a lot. And that's the benefit of a circuit-based system. Because they are allowing open qualifier system and the ability for people to come in and play, you're talking the contrast of what used to be in the past. For those that don't know, the RLCS in the past used to be a league play system, similar to how you would see in like the NFL, the NBA, or otherwise. You have a select amount of teams, and those teams then play each other once, and then based upon how they play, they get into a playoff and then get into a world championship. And the difficulty is, in order to go to those events, you had to play 11 matches. Just 11. That's it. Teams that make a lower bracket run like Team Queso did this past weekend played 10. Just this weekend. They played 10 matches just this weekend. And that's one less than you would play in an entire season of Rocket League to determine who the best team in the world was. Not a good idea. It completely goes against what is the competitive integrity of what a world champion should be. It should be arduous and hopefully not as grueling as it seems, but there should be some competition along the way and some process to figure out who the best of the best are. And that's why the circuit system is amazing. Compared to, hey, you play each other once. Maybe if they did like double round robin, it wouldn't be so bad. But like right now, you are playing in a series of 9 events. And after the 3 each time you play in the major, if you make it, that determines if you go to the World Championship or the wild card. The way we find out who the World Championship players and contenders are going to be is absolutely fantastic. It also opens it up to all these different teams, because in the past, if you didn't play well in a qualifier, you basically were not able to compete against the top tier teams until like 6 months down the road. And now it's every 2 weeks you have a chance to go and compete against the top dogs. It makes the scene better. It makes everybody else better. It makes all the teams, players better. All the competition just has leveled up significantly, and it has made Rocket League as a whole way more entertaining. People have gotten more competitive. It's just the matches are significantly better. And that's why you're seeing upsets and depth come into the scene. It is single-handedly due to the format. The format has done a lot of really good things for Rocket League, but there's still refinement that can be made. I personally have a really hard time with double elimination. You guys have heard me rant about double elimination a lot. I'm not going to get into it here, but the difficulty I have is there needs to be some sort of finite process. Because we have so many regionals and so many matches, we have way too long of broadcasts. There's burnout. People are playing for 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 hours on a weekend. It takes a toll, especially when you're doing it for 10 months straight with a couple week break in between major stuff. And my proposed solution is more of a long-term goal of them doing group stages. So like the day 1 team streams are a way to weed out teams. It's to make sure that the best performing teams have additional lives. For example, if you take the Swiss stage format, you are taking either 3 wins or 3 losses until you get eliminated or promoted. And that means you could play 5 matches. It means you could play 3 matches. And the benefit of doing well is you are then playing a lesser team in the following stage. The difficulty I have is that lesser stage also has additional lives. Case in point, we're doing a round robin format right now in winter. After you play your 3 matches, there's a chance you have a tiebreaker, which is another match for you to possibly secure a top bid or a low bid. And then after that, you play then another bracket where you possibly have an additional life, or you have to make a lower bracket run, which is 7 rounds in a row. And that just creates this everlasting effect of like, well, they're not out yet. Oh, they're still not, oh, they got an extra life. Oh, and it's just, that fatigue is where I think is coming from. And if they did a single elimination final bracket, you may see less fatigue and more severity to the actions. And this is where the argument comes into play with the format change of single elimination versus double elimination. I personally believe, and again, this is my own personal opinion. I know there's a lot of people that are on both sides of this, and there's no right answer. This is the kind of conversation I would love to talk to Rocket League esports staff about and kind of get their perspective on it. But the difficulty I have is with group stages, you have a way to find out who the best teams are. These are the teams that are performing better right now. They are going to progress through. And then using the final bracket to add that severity, that finite process I'm talking about, to see who is the better this weekend. And that may change 2 weeks from now. There may be teams that prepare better or are scrimming harder or whatever it may be. But at least now we don't have this long, arduous journey every single regional. It makes the broadcast times a little bit shorter. People are less burnt out. The viewers aren't as fatigued. And it makes each event, I think, a bit more significant. And then when you come to the major, then it is the best teams in the world going through that same process. There is a lot more weight added to it. And again, I don't think there's any right or wrong answer. I think there's always going to be this complication of single elimination versus double elimination. But I'm going to bring one argument to the table. In the past, during World Championships, there used to be double elimination brackets. And the problem is 2/3 of the time that we ran double elimination brackets, the team in the lower bracket won. Because Rocket League is such a momentum-based game, and the fact that teams that are kind of in form and prepping and playing well and keep getting reps and have warm-up matches and keep going through, they either A, get burnt out, or B, they have so much momentum that the top team doesn't really stand a chance. We have had numerous times where the lower bracket team is getting an advantage versus the team that has yet to lose. That is not okay. So they went into groups and into single elimination. In your own World Championship format, you switched away from that. So why is it now that in the format within a split, you have regressed and gone back to it? I don't know if it's due to the players wishing that so much weight wasn't put on one thing in one day, which I can understand. But at the same time, isn't that why there's additional regionals? Isn't that why there's so many different events with results mattering over the course of an entire split rather than just one event? So rather than focusing on just the day-to-day, let's focus on the split to the split. Let's think about big picture as compared to individual event. Yes, we had a bad day here. We had an off day here. This regional is chalked, but we've got 2 more regionals to make it up. We've got 1 more regional to make it up. You saw how it happened with FaZe. FaZe completely botched it. Vitality, a bunch of teams like Endpoint had a bad regional, but because they were able to clutch up and do well in Regional 2 and Regional 3, it made up for that one bad result. And we should use regionals as that extra life rather than each individual regional for those extra lives. Speeds up the process, cleans up the whole situation, helps with event and viewer fatigue, and it makes things really hype. You're telling me that no team has an advantage going in? The advantage they do have is based upon their performance. They're playing a worse team, supposedly, and upsets can still happen. But you're telling me a single elimination bracket playoff day, I've got 4 matches on Saturday, 3 matches on Sunday, quick 4 or 5 hour broadcast, everybody's hype, every match matters. I'm curious on what the retention rates would be. I'm curious how many people are going to be glued to their monitor, TV, whatever they're watching on, because I don't have to watch for 8 or 9 hours every single day. I'm watching for like 3 to 5. Sounds a lot better to me. And when I told you guys it's only going to get worse, spring is double elimination. Straight up. No gimmicks, nothing crazy. Just 31 best of 5s and best of 7s straight. I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to be watching a lot less of Spring Split. The one thing that redeems Spring Split is the fact that a lot of teams are not just competing for major spots, but they're also competing for world champion spots and wildcard spots. And that's what I think is going to be the saving grace. Just like this past weekend for Europe and the weekend before, we had storylines of teams needing to win this series to not just progress in the tournament, but to save themselves a spot at the major. I think you can still accomplish that, but without all these extra lives. That's just my take. Curious on what you guys think. Let me know in the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed this rant, you guys enjoyed this conversation, I am hoping we never go back to league play unless it is double round robin. Then I'd be okay with it. But I am hoping that you guys have your own opinions about how this is. Hopefully you guys have watched this whole video. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Chat, usually when I get in on a pretty good rant or a pretty good tangent, doesn't say anything. So chat's been pretty quiet, so hopefully they're enjoying it too. But I won't know unless you guys let me know. Let me know in the comments down below. Hit the like button, subscribe, turn on notifications. If you guys want to follow a video to this or anything else, please let me know. But as always, if you enjoy this type of content, these types of conversation pieces, this is what I want this channel to be more about, rather than just this team did this thing or this roster did this thing, which ironically is in a video out probably tomorrow or the next day. Let me know in the comments down below. That's going to do it for here. As always, give the video a like, hit subscribe, turn on notifications. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.